Hello everyone, this is Zooc, and today I'm going to be drawing Sarah Kerrigan. Now, I finally decided to take this challenge on because in the past I've gotten probably hundreds of requests for this particular character, but I didn't want to approach it until I knew that I was capable to do so. Mostly because I hadn't drawn females before, and now I got a little bit of practice in with my latest drawings. It's not enough. It's not as much as I wanted it to be, but it's still something, and I figured I might as well get Sarah out of the way because people have been constantly asking for it. And because it's a character that I really like, I didn't want to screw it up and make it less than what it could be. Even so, I mean, I spent 5 hours on this monster. It's probably actually I think it is the longest drawing I've ever done. And it came out okay. It didn't come out as good as I could do it, but I could say that about anything I make because I'm just obsessed with perfectionism, and I don't like when things don't turn out as well as they look in my head. But it was certainly a very I wouldn't say daunting. It was just very, very nitpicky to draw this because Sarah Kerrigan has probably the most intricate armor I've ever seen on a Zooc creature, and because of that, it takes a long time to draw. It's very, very complex, and it's not something that it's not like my usual 2-hour walk in the park. Most of my drawings nowadays take about 2.5 hours, but this one is just something else. But anyway, I'll let you see for yourselves. Right now I'm going to give a little bit of information about the character, as I usually like to give. So here we go. Sarah Kerrigan is definitely a very fascinating character. It's one of my favorites because, well, a big part of that is due to her being in the game Starcraft, which is one of my favorite games, so I guess that carries a lot of weight. But in any case, the character itself is very... I wouldn't say, well, it is sort of fascinating, but I'm not much for fascination in that sense. It's more to the fact that this character wasn't meant to be very predominant in the game, and it eventually ended up being one of the major characters in the storyline and the plot, and a subject for books as well. So it's mainly because her... from what I've read, her like personality and the way she became the Queen of Blades was very well received by a lot of people, like fans and critics and websites and such. So going from a character that was meant to be a one-time appearance to a major plot-altering character in the game is quite impressive. But in any case, Sarah Kerrigan, her full name being Sarah Louise Kerrigan, she was created by our boy Chris Metzen. Not surprising there, Metzen is a very ingenious person and probably one of the most important people working for Blizzard, so not surprised that he came up with it. But of course, he wasn't alone in this. Samwise and Glenn Rain had some influence on her appearance later on in the game. But yeah, she was created by Chris Metzen and James Finney. I'm not sure who that is. I've never heard of him, but he's probably one of the former designers or current designers of Blizzard. She was voice acted by 2 different people. First off, she was voice acted by Glynis Campbell, who is married to Richard Campbell, a musician. And in Wings of Liberty, she was voice acted by Trisha Helfer, who is a model and an actress, and she hosted Canada's Next Top Model, so she's pretty hot. Yeah. Anyway, Kerrigan appeared in very early on in the Starcraft universe. She was a ghost, and she apparently had psychic abilities. She was trained as a spy and an assassin. She was part of the Sons of Korhal, the movement led by Arcturus Mengsk, which is also a very prominent character in the storyline. But she was captured by the Zerg and infested, and later on became what you know her today, the Queen of Blades. First off, she didn't become the leader immediately. she was under the command of the Overmind. But slowly she became one of the Zerg's most powerful entities, so to say. And eventually, when the Overmind was destroyed after the Great War, Sarah Kerrigan became the ruler. She replaced the Overmind and became the ruler of all Zerg in all galaxies, etc., etc. So her evolution is explained in a couple of books called Uprising and Liberty's Crusade. I've read them quite a long time ago. And there's also another book called Queen of Blades, which I've also read, which explains what happened to her after she got infested. So quite interesting books. I like that type of literature. I know it's not really very deep or very intellectual, but it's relaxing and easy to read on an airplane or wherever, long road trip, etc. So yeah, Kerrigan was also from her like gaming point of view, she is ranked as the greatest villain by GameSpot, and IGN also ranked her as the 5th villain, I think. 5th. After all, I mean, she takes over planets and destroys worlds. So I think that qualifies her as a pretty badass. She's also ranked one of the greatest female video game characters by Tom's Games. I'm not sure if anyone cares. I just thought I would mention it. It says so on the wiki. So whatever. Another cool thing about Kerrigan is that her name is actually taken after a real person's name, namely Nancy Kerrigan, who is a figure skater. So I'm not sure if Metzen is a fan of figure skating or not. Maybe he is. In any case, this is where he got the name from. And another cool fact is that she's sort of based around Medusa from Greek mythology. Apparently Starcraft 2 was codenamed Medusa for a while before it was launched, and at some point in the game, not Starcraft 2 but 1, Kerrigan says something like her stare can reduce him to ashes. So it takes a few elements from Medusa, but it isn't entirely inspired by her. So of course, there are cases when developers take like mythology or legend elements and incorporate them in games. After all, it makes for a more unique character and a more interesting one. So that's kind of nice. Now I'm going to talk a bit about the drawing. Oh boy, there's so much to say. So little to say and so much to say at the same time. I've decided to go for a mix of graphite and Prismacolor pencils because, I don't know, for a while I was really happy with the Prismacolors, but now when I'm drawing very detailed things, they seem to be lacking a lot of control, especially on this paper. This paper just seems to grind through them like crazy. So I'm gonna stick to using graphite, even though I hate the fact that it glares in the light all the time. So hopefully I'll be able to draw during the day more often, because usually I make them at night. But yeah, it seems to work with a mix of Prismacolor for the really black darks and graphite for the other things, for like details and like median tones. What can I say? The reference for this was, I'm sure everyone has seen it. It's the sculpture that was made for an event of Kerrigan. I'm a really big fan of that statue. It's like freaking amazing, and of course I would be a fool not to use it as reference while drawing this character, because it's the best sculpture I've ever seen, and I'm sure there are probably better ones out there, but considering we're all nerds and we all play games, I think that about qualifies as a pretty amazing one. So I use that a lot, and I also improvised a bit on various parts because I can get like a very good angle of the statue. So yeah, that's about it. Her face was sort of my own creation. I spent a lot of time on it. It seems to have come out better than most of my faces. It's still not perfect. That's probably like the thing that bothers me most about this drawing, is the fact that the face isn't perfect, but the face is just so hard, really. Like, it's so hard to get a good face, and I'm sure I've seen portraits. I've been watching like videos on YouTube and such, and some people are just amazing with drawing faces, but I don't know, for me it seems to take a lot of practice. I usually learn pretty fast, but faces are a very complex thing, and like the smallest mistake, like how the eyes are positioned, or if one eye is a couple of degrees turned in comparison to another, then it'll screw up the balance entirely. So of course it's hard to get a good face, but it'll come in time, because practice makes perfect, as we all know. But yeah, that was about it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope your demands were satisfied. I know people have just been bombing me with requests for Kerrigan, not Sarah Kerrigan, and yeah, I had fun drawing it, even though it got a bit frustrating along the hours that passed, hours and hours. But yeah, it was the longest drawing I've ever done, and I'm glad it's over. I rushed her hair a bit. I'm aware of that. Her hair isn't exactly perfect, but I was on the last stretch and I was just sweating and there was noise outside. So yeah, it's just excuses. I don't want to make up excuses now, but yeah, I was pretty frustrated towards the end because it just took so freaking long to draw. It was incredible. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and please visit my channel and subscribe. If you're watching this on TB's channel, I got plenty of other videos there. So yeah, thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.